Mathematical system consists of some undefined terms or the primitive terms and list of all statements which are called axioms or postulates concerning undefined terms. One obtains mathematical theory by proving new statements called theorems using axioms or postulates, logic systems, and previous theorems. In this video, we will be discussing mathematical systems and undefined terms such as point, line, and plane, and its contribution to geometry. Moreover, basic postulates involving undefined terms and the difference between postulates and theorems will also be discussed. If you are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that I will be able to journey with you in learning math lessons and concepts in an easy way. In this video, we will be discussing the basics of geometry, particularly the mathematical systems. These are our objectives. After watching this video, you will be able to describe a mathematical system, illustrates the need for an axiomatic structure of a mathematical system in general, and in geometry in particular, such as defined terms, undefined terms, postulates, and theorems. In this video, we come to know the undefined terms and its contribution to geometry. Why they are called undefined terms? Because they are the building blocks of geometry. They are used to define other geometric terms. And what are they? They are point, line, and plane. Now, what is a point? Point has no size, but it has a location. It is represented by a small dot, and it is named using a capital letter. It is also considered as the most basic geometric terms and figures. All other geometric terms and figures are made up of points. So this is a small dot. So the name of this point is point A. So another point here, so this is point B. We have also another point here, so this is point C. So this is point D. So the collection of points or the set of points is called a space. Suppose we have point A and we have point B. So if you connect them, there exists a line. So line is a series or set of points that extends in opposite directions without end. So in reality, this line is made up of infinite number of points. But for illustration purposes, if we have 2 points, we can already make a line. You can name a line by any 2 identified points on the line. Suppose in this line, we have point A and we have point B. So we can name this line as line AB. In geometry, we have to be very specific in putting symbols because the symbol will give us the meaning of the representations. So if we are representing line, so this is line AB, we will put line on top of point A and B. There are cases that there are no identified points along this line. However, there is a small letter here. So the small letter or the lowercase letter can represent also as the name of the line. So in this case, you can name this line as line L. Now in geometry, we come to know and encounter the word collinear or collinear points. How do we know that points are collinear? So let us illustrate. So in the first column is the example of points which are collinear. In the second are not example of collinear points. So for example, this is point A, point B, and point C. Another example here, we have another line, and we have point A, and we have point B here, and point C. So points A, B, and C are called collinear points, while points A, B, and C are not collinear points. Now, how do we know that points are collinear? So, collinear points are points that lie on the same line. If we are taking into consideration of these second illustrations, point A and C are collinear. However, if we include B, points A, B, and C are no longer collinear points. So, the third undefined term is a plane. What is a plane? So plane is any flat surface that extends in all directions without end. So it has no thickness. So the plane can be best illustrated using a piece of paper. So suppose we have a piece of paper. So as you can see, if the paper is a flat surface, so in this case, however, the extension of the sides of the paper ends. That is why in this plane figure, we call it as a rectangle. But plane, basically, in a flat surface, has no thickness and extends in all directions without end. So you can name a plane either by a single capital letter or by naming at least 3 non-collinear points in the plane. So let us illustrate. So suppose in this plane, we have a single letter here, which is R. And in a second plane, we have 3 non-collinear points, which are A, B, and C. So in the first plane, we can name it as plane R. For the second, you can name also this plane as plane ABC. Another term that you will encounter is the coplanar points. So how do we know that points are coplanar? Now in this case, we will illustrate the points which are coplanar. So in this first plane, we have points A, B, C, and D. And in the second plane, we have point A, B, C, and D. So in the first illustration, points A, B, C, and D are coplanar. Well, in the second illustrations, points A, B, C, and D are not coplanar. So basically, as you can see, coplanar points are points that lie on the same plane. So in this case, if we will illustrate in this figure, so points E, F, B, and A are coplanar. However, points E, A, B, F, and G are no longer coplanar. Now, in geometry, we will encounter also the word postulate and theorems. Now, what is the difference between the two? So, postulates, these are statements accepted as true even without proof. Why? Because this statement can be seen or it's obvious. So, for example, statement which is Joel is a boy. So, this statement, we will accept this statement as true even without proof. Why? Because it is obvious that Joel is a boy. Supposing I'm Joel, so Joel is a boy is a true statement. However, if we have the second statement that says Joel is a father, so this statement will not be accepted as true unless it is being proven. So we need proof to establish that this statement is true. Suppose it is verified that I have a child. So that's the case that this statement is considered as true. A statement considered as true after being proven is called theorems. That is why in mathematics, we've been using several theorems. And of its one prominent theorems, if we are dealing with right triangle, is the Pythagorean theorem, which is represented by an equation a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. But what is the meaning of this equation? So according to Pythagoras, if this is a right triangle, so the right triangle is a triangle with one right angle. Suppose the side opposite to the right angle is C, and that is the hypotenuse, and the other two sides are A and B respectively represent the legs. So according to Pythagoras, in a right triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse is just equal to the sum of the square of its two legs. So we have a lot of proof in these particular theorems, and that could be discussed in another video. In geometry, we will be dealing with basic postulates, which can be used in proving different theorems or even establishing or solving different mathematical problems, particularly it involves geometry. The first postulate is, through any 2 points, there is exactly one line. So for example, this is a first point, point A, and we also have another point here, which is point B. So if there is 2 points, you can make one line, or there exists a line. So you can also name this one as line L, or this is line AB. So line L is the only line that passes through points A and B. Second postulate, if two lines intersect, then they intersect at exactly one point. Let us illustrate. If this is line L and we have another line, which is line M. So line L and line M intersect, which means they cross each other. So they intersect in a particular point. That is why if we may recall our lesson about systems of linear equations, so if we have these two equations, and another way of solving its solution is by graphical method. The first equation, this is f. Then this is the graph of the second equation, 3x minus 7. So the solution of this system of linear equation is a point, which is the intersection of the two graphs of linear equation. And that is the coordinate 3 and 2. So third postulate. If two planes intersect, then they intersect in a line. So let's illustrate this one in our room, for example. So as you can see, this is the ceiling, and this is the wall, and this is the ground. Another wall, another wall. Suppose the ceiling and the wall intersect. As you can see, there exists a line. Suppose another ceiling and another wall intersect. There is, you can see also a line. So it is obvious that we can see a line here. So again, if two planes intersect, then they intersect in a line. Fourth postulate, through any three non-collinear points, there is exactly one plane. So for example, this is first point. We have another point. So these 2 points are collinear by virtue of the previous postulate. However, if there exists another point here, so these 3 points are no collinear. So if we connect them, it will create a plane. So that is why the most basic plane figure is a triangle. So this is the reason also why a three-legged stool or a tripod will always be stable compared with a stool or a tripod with more feet. For as long as its feet don't lie on a line, which means that the 3 legs will touch on the ground. Because the base, where it touches the ground, those points are in one plane. If we will illustrate this one in these 3 figures, so points E, H, B, and C are not collinear, so there exists one plane here. And also we have another plane here. Now suppose this is line AB. Now if the arrowheads from these 2 endpoints will be removed, so there exists another geometric figures, and we call it as a segment. Now what is a segment? Segment is part of a line consisting of 2 endpoints and all points in between them. So if this is 2 endpoints and consists of all points in between them, so that will make a segment or a segments. Now the segments can be named using 2 endpoints. So for example, this is AB, point A and point B. So this segment can be named as segment AB. Now we will put a symbol of segment on top of these 2 points. Or you can interchange, it can be BA or segment BA. Now supposing that one of its endpoint will be removed and the other one will not be removed. So there exists another geometric figure, we call it as ray. Now ray is part of a line consisting of one endpoint and all the points of the line on one side of the endpoint. So if this is the endpoint, all the points of the line extending infinitely in one direction, this will make the ray. So the ray can be named using its endpoint first, then the other points on the ray. So for example, this is ray AB. So starts always with the endpoint, then another point. So since we only have identified point B here in this going to this direction, so start with the endpoint, then another point B. But we have to put symbol ray on top of these 2 points. Suppose the other side will be removed. So this can be named as ray BA. Why do we have to rearrange? Because in naming a ray, we always start with the endpoint. So in this case, the endpoint is here. So this is ray BA. Again, the direction of the arrow is leading towards right. Is it possible to reverse the arrow? Yes, it can be. However, again, it will always start with the endpoint. So if we will reverse the arrow, so this would be here because the tail of the arrow represents the endpoint of the ray. What if the ray is being drawn this way, diagonally? In writing the name, it is still ray BA, and the arrow is still horizontally drawn going to the right. Now, suppose we have this ray. We have point A as the endpoint leading to this direction, and we identified another point here, which is point B. And we also have the same endpoint and extending into another direction, and we have identified points here, which is point C. So in this case, there exists another geometric terms which we call it as opposite rays. So what is an opposite rays? So opposite rays are two collinear rays with the same endpoint. So as you can see, the two rays are collinear, so that would mean that the opposite rays always form a line. Suppose, let's illustrate this one. This is another ray, AB, and another point here, which is point C, and this is point D. Now, in this case, these two rays are collinear. However, these two collinear rays are not sharing the same endpoint. That is why we cannot consider these two rays which are collinear as an opposite rays. Again, because they don't share the common endpoint. So as you can see, from the three basic terms, the point, the line, and plane, we already encountered several geometric figures and geometric terms. So another geometric figures or geometric terms we're encountering is like this one. Suppose this is a plane, so this is line L, and this is line M. So these two lines, M and L and M, are on the same plane, so they are coplanar. These two lines are considered as parallel lines. So parallel lines are coplanar lines that do not intersect. Suppose we have these two lines again. So this line L along this plane. So this line M is another line which are in a different plane. So these two lines are not coplanar. So the two lines which are not coplanar and they are not intersecting, we call it as the skew lines. Now, after learning this lesson, now it's a time for us to check whether you understand our lesson or not. So you're going to answer the following questions, and you can choose only items in these questions, and you can write your answers in the comment section below. So refer to figure 1. So this is our figure 1. So name all lines that are parallel to the given segment. So segment AC, CF, segment DE, segment EB. Using the figure number 2, name a pair of opposite rays with T as the endpoint. Second, name another pair of opposite rays. So we have 4 identified points here. So you can name another pair of opposite rays. Thirdly, name all the segments shown. So based from the figure. Then lastly, you are going to name ray RT in 2 other ways. Again, now if you can answer all the questions and you can write your answer in the comment section below, it's very commendable. But if you may, you can only choose one item from these questions and you can write your answers in the comment section below. So that's all.
Thank you for finishing this video. If you learned something new today, kindly smash that like button. And in the comment section, kindly send me your thoughts about this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this video so that I will be able to continue to journey with you in learning math lessons in an easy way. See you in our next video. Thank you for watching.